And the doors are open. How you doing, Phoenix? Let me see.
I'm doing all right. I'm ready.
Well, the doors to the restaurant is open. Y'all ready to eat? Let me see. I want to give Phoenix a chance to recap what she felt about last night. They say, "Let's go, Phoenix."
Well, there was a couple of things that I noticed, and one part I would like to save until you go there.
All
Uh,
right.
uh, and I just wanted to say that the whole, it was the whole for me.
It was the whole.
The whole, it was definitely the whole. Um, some fairy in a white dress giving them corn. Um, Not corn. Yeah, not on the cob. They just said it was corn. But the fact that they came from the whole chief, the whole Nani Wire attaching themselves to the history that doesn't belong to them. What was peculiar to me was that the Choctaw Nation, the nations in Oklahoma, the people in Oklahoma jumped out on that, and they are not able to tie themselves back to the truth. I thought that was a bold criminal attempt. Somebody need to lose their job, and some folks need to go to jail.
You know, I'm wondering how much do the government, I'm not going to just jump and say the government no, because I'm always meeting with government agencies and elected officials that don't have no idea the truth about Indian country because they don't concentrate on that. They be dealing with all the other stuff. I just told two representatives this week, and we'll get into it a little deeper on that a little bit. But I just told two reps this week that the Indian agenda or the true Indian agenda is the last thing if it's anywhere in the picture. Um, Everything else been on the front burner, the back burner. I don't even think we on the burner, Phoenix. I think we sitting with somewhere on the side on a prep table, and the person haven't found the recipe. So what I'm hoping I'm doing is helping them get the recipe book together, and I want y'all to enjoy it. Let's get this recipe together for them. I don't think they know what way to clear up this lie. This lie been going on before these elected officials, no matter if they're Democrat, Republican, or independent, black or white or whatever, are Indian from another country, um, are Asian from another country. Um, we can't blame them 100% for not knowing the truth if we don't bring it to them. And that's why I think the petition, I'm starting off there, 48 people, 48 in the room, heading for 50. And I start serving until we hit the number 50. But anyway, I think we need to get people to understand that the petition is a way to get the attention of the elected officials. That is an appropriate way to communicate. Okay, um, you bring things to them. You have a packet or a, how can I put it? You have a package to deliver, which brings the plight of the people to the table. We've been having leaders that have not been even caring about the plight of the black Indian. They just want us to be content and satisfied. But I find them not content nor satisfied. And I did go to President Obama. I did give him a packet. I did have the White House roundtable. But all those things, when you look at them, you be like, let me show you what I'm going to do. That is to build their own platform up. I don't care about yours. Now, before we get any further, I'm going to say I enjoyed you all last night. I laughed just like y'all did. We're going to laugh some more tonight. 58 people in the room. Now we begin to serve. Okay? What I was saying in just the pre talk to get to the 50, I want a couple things I want to say also. Announce a few things. Phoenix, we got 10,950 subscribers to the channel. It would be nice tonight if you have not subscribed. I'm looking at the numbers. I would love to see us hit that 11,000. through this little discovery phase of part one, part two. So if you had not subscribed, please subscribe. Roll the number over to 11,000 subscribers. We have tons of viewers, but sometimes people view and forget to subscribe. I'm guilty of that sometimes. When it's brought to my attention, I do go back and subscribe. Another thing, bring to your attention, we have over 2,000 and some people watched the video last night, 500 and some likes. If you forgot to hit the like button on last night's show, go back and hit the like button. And tonight, hit it as you're coming in. And remind other people to hit the like button. Now, let's go to the next level. We know this show is not about getting rich or making money, but this show is about serving up history. So if you know that we're not going to get any sponsors for the stuff we are talking about, we are exposing the truth. So another way that you can participate is by doing Cash App with us. It is on the web page. If not that way, become a person that's a member to this channel. Help the channel grow. The more we grow, the more we can work. The more you help contribute, let's come out my pocket. Let's all put a few pennies together to make this thing continue working. But y'all have been a great audience. All right, now we're going to move on here. We got 72 people in the room. How many likes do we have? Come on now, you're sitting at the table. Give us a like while you're sitting at the table. Somebody let me know, do the like match the room? And we are getting ready to start talking about last night. Okay? Right. Now, tell me, Phoenix, what you feel. You said it's about the hole. Tell me what you feel when you hear somebody say we come out of hole, come out of cave. He gave a birth story that covered 3, 4 different ways of being born. So let's try to start right there and let's see what people got to say about that tonight. Y'all help keep these like buttons going all up. Tonight we'll be inviting somebody from the audience to the stage or to tell us what you feel about what we are watching. Okay, they say 20 people haven't washed your hands. Go wash your hands. Hit that like button. All right. Now, Phoenix, let's get back to the topic because we're going to go back to the past a little bit and we're going to bring somebody else on stage. Um, I saw too many creations, Phoenix. It was too many creation stories. Okay? Um, Came out of cave, came out of hole, and the creator tore a piece of himself or herself or whatever he was saying and made people. Can you comment on that one, Phoenix, for us?
I think I kind of had an out of body experience at the part where he said they was made from clay, because there was quite a few bit of creation stories. But the part that struck me also, besides the whole, was him saying that they was made out of clay, and the God, the Creator, sat them on the hill on this little grassy knoll in the sun, and when the clay dried, they came out that color. I think those were his words verbatim. Um, yeah, that was kind of what clay down in Mississippi and Alabama? What color is that clay? The clay.
They have red clay.
Oh,
Down
and
where I'm in the,
why does it come out
the difference
white?
in the delta, the blacker the soil, and I'm down in the delta. See,
Mm.
they created place like the Delta, Mississippi. That's to make you focus that that's where the delta is. When the delta is down here coming to the mouth of the Mississippi. You know, we serve up history on here, so if anybody knew, I know some channels is not about just talking history and serving it up, but this is what we are doing over here. That's our specialty. So we're gonna go back, Phoenix, and do some study. I might can pull another day off sometime this week, but we're gonna go look at that Mississippi again. Y'all remember the maps? Y'all know there's one Mississippi. How you say it, Phoenix? Two Mississippi.
2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi.
Which Mississippi? So we're gonna have to go kind of tie down some of the stuff. And he did put a map, as you and I talked about, and we can go look at his map and pretty much know which Mississippi we were talking about. Okay, or he was talking about. Will, I don't know if he didn't came in yet. If he is, Will, raise your hand. Will said we fixing to go on a field trip. After the show was over last night, he called me and said, Chief, we going on a field trip. So where we going? We go and find that hole. And we,
And that was what I wanted to talk about, their map that they showed. I saw something very interesting on their map. So when you go back to that, there was something about their map that I found very, very disturbing, but informative.
you know, somebody I want to touch with you. No, it don't dry like Beach saying. The salt, you know, it is white, you know, salt. So maybe they the salt. I don't know. We got to see about this. But the only thing come out the ground that white is salt. Sand is kind of tannish, yellowish looking, you know. Okay. Things I want to start. Let's go back to him. Where we left off
I
at.
got it queued up.
You ready? Let's go back where we was last night because y'all ready for us to finish serving this dinner? Because then I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna bring a special guest called Tom Aiken from our archives. And let's see where these junk coming from. All right, things. I see they ready. All right, finding out feathers. She said y'all need to get on that like button. Come on now. It don't
And
cost.
this is for educational purposes.
I got it coming for you. Y'all hit the like button while I'm putting for educational purposes only. But please hit the like button. It don't cost nothing to hit it. It don't hurt if you're learning or enjoying to let us know. She said we got 93 people and 70 likes. Can you please hit the like button? And if, by the way, you have not subscribed, hit the subscribe too. Because we're going to be rolling this year. Now, if y'all don't start hitting the like button, we're going to take our audience to a private setting, right, Phoenix? Like some people do. And then that way, those who like to hit the like buttons will be the ones that'll be in the room. Because the room will be controlled. Y'all know my name is Warhorse. Now, don't put me on the warpath. It don't hurt to hit the like button. And if you're in here and you don't like us, you can kindly leave. But if you're going to participate with manners. One good manners in courtesy is to hit the like button. All right, Phoenix, whenever you're ready, we are ready. We're picking up where we was last night. We do have on there for educational purposes only. The educational purpose is for us not to act that way. And please don't try to be a storyteller of history if it's going to come out like that. Thank you to our new member, Trim Bree. Glad to have you part of the kitchen
Okay.
now. Go ahead, Phoenix, when you're ready.
Okay, I'm sharing. You just gotta approve it.
Okay, here we go, y'all. We going on in. Hey, Mike. All right, and Phoenix is on stage. This ain't even leftovers, y'all.
The men were in
This
charge of protecting the
same
community.
old
The
stuff.
Choctaws were the largest tribe in the Southeast, but we're a defensive tribe. We're a diplomatic tribe. So we usually would not go out and start a conflict. We're usually a peaceful tribe. But if other groups like the Muskogee or the Chickasaw would sometimes raid Choctaws, especially during the 1700s, 16 and 1700s, the Choctaws are allied with the French. The Chickasaw and the Creeks are allied with the British, so they're doing slave raids into Choctaw Nation. So they're taking slaves back and selling them into the slave trade. There's a really neat article we actually did. There was a Choctaw and a Creek man that were taken into the slave trade, and there's this story that talks about how they were paraded around eastern eastern side of America. And then they were shipped over to England and paraded around there. And then they went down to Europe. And eventually they were bought by a king over to the east, and they disappeared from written record. There was supposed to be a big disease. I want to say it was a Hungarian king, but I can't remember off the top of my head.
Wait a minute, I got the brain.
But anyway, so I mean, slave trade was, you know, something that was happening at that time. Playing stickball. So imagine these things happen. It's all about the ebb and flow of culture and change. The men were in charge of protecting the community. The Choctaws were the largest tribe in the Southeast, but we're a defensive tribe. We're a diplomatic tribe. So we usually would not go out and start a conflict. We're usually a peaceful tribe. But if other groups like the Muskogee or the Chickasaw would sometimes raid Choctaws, especially during the 1700s, 16 and 1700s, the Choctaws are allied with the French. The Chickasaw and the Creeks are allied with the British. So they're doing slave raids into Choctaw Nation. So they're taking slaves back and selling them into the slave trade. There's a really neat article we actually did. There was a Choctaw and a Creek man that were taken into the slave trade. And there's this story that talks about how they were paraded around eastern side of America. And then they were shipped over to England and paraded around there. And then they went down to Europe. And eventually they were bought by a king over to the east, and they disappeared from written record. There was supposed to be a big disease. I want to say it was a Hungarian king, but I can't remember off the top of my head. But anyway, so I mean, slave trade was, you know, something that was happening at that time. Playing stickball. So imagine like the requirement of you being a man is playing football. Like that's what you do. That's part of your daily routine. Choctaw men played stickball. It was a very brutal sport. The Cherokees call it the little brother of war. And Choctaw, we call it Ishtabole, meaning really it's like a place of causing to hit is the direct translation. But basically, this was a game if two villages, two communities, or two tribes had a dispute, instead of going to war and all the men killing each other, instead we would play a game. We would play a game of stickball. Whoever won the game would win the dispute. But I mean, these are warriors that are playing this game. So, you know, if there's a game of 500 on 500 over 5 miles of, you know, land, you know, they're playing on a 5-mile field, 500 against 500. A few people are going to die. A few people are going to be crippled. It was just part of the game. It's a warrior's game. But it was a lot more, it was a civilized way of settling disputes instead of going to war and having a lot of people die. The men were in charge of interacting with other groups. We were in charge of the politics, working with other villages, and doing the really heavy work. So when a woman was building, you know, her house, the men would lay the corner post, or before the women planted the fields, the men would go out and plow them, just as long as they didn't have any interaction with actually growing the plants. And as they're served as orators and historians, as I'm doing now, the men were the ones that educated all the children in society. You know, a bunch of kids are running loose to the village. The elders would try to ring them in and, you know, teach them stories. Teach them, you know, about the history of Choctaw people. So as I still try to do, here are just some things that Choctaw men made. Choctaw men were also artists. This is a river cane blowgun with blowgun darts. Boys starting at the age of 6 to 8 were taught very young how to hunt, but not individually, but how to hunt in groups. Choctaws always worked together in groups. So Choctaw boys would learn at a young age how to shoot blowguns, how to hunt small game. Later on, when they got a little bit older, they learned how to make clubs. So there's a lot of different styles of clubs out there, but these are fine works of art. These are clubs that would have been made to gift to somebody or to trade. So these are really intricate war clubs. These points here, I mean, if you hit someone with this, they're gonna die. But the point being that, you know, this is a work of art. So it is functional, but it's more art than it is function. And these are just beautiful pieces. My boss made both of these. This is another, all the things on the slide are stuff that my boss has made. That's what he does. I mean, he's a traditional artist, along with being our tribe's archaeologist and historian. This is a Choctaw longbow. These longbows can stand, I don't know, about this high. They have about a 40, probably a 35 to a 70-pound draw, depending on what you need with it. Young boys would be taught how to, use bows at a young age with 30-pound bows. And then once you get older, someone a lot bigger would be using a 70-pound bow. You only need 65 pounds of force to pierce ringmail. So when DeSoto came through, he got torn up. When he tried to enslave Choctaw people, he got beat up a little bit by both bows and atlatls. So talking about, like I said, when I was in school, I was taught that, natives were primitive. And then I heard these stories here, and it never quite clicked. I'm like, how can native people be so primitive yet be so smart? So how many of you have ever snuck up on a deer? Okay. I've done it once. I was going about 70. But it's hard to sneak up on a deer. Like, there's a Choctaw hunter I've met before that has actually walked up and touched a deer without it even knowing he was there. So there's an art to deer hunting. In no way am I saying that, the way that we hunt today is inferior. But, sitting in a deer stand waiting for a deer is not always the most practical way of your time. If you actually learn how to stalk a deer, you can go out, hunt your deer, come back, and you're done for the day. I mean, you've done your duty. But Choctaw men were so skilled at sneaking up on deer. There's an image on the top left up here. And this is a Choctaw man dressed up like a deer. And he was mimicking deer to the point where he could get up within bow range and just shoot it. A guaranteed shot. Choctaw men were so skilled at mimicking deer that there's a story about how one Choctaw man got shot by another hunter because that hunter thought he was a deer. It still happens today, kind of. There's just a little bit more substance involved. And politicians. Oh, I can't tell the joke. But there was another story talking about how a Choctaw hunter was so good at mimicking a deer, a mountain lion attacked him thinking he was a deer. So, it takes a lot of skill and a lot of intelligence to learn a lot of this stuff. Today's society really focuses a lot on academics and book smarts, but, that's not always the case. I mean, you can't gauge intelligence by how book smart someone is. I've seen that driving. In the center, this is what a Choctaw hunting camp would have looked like.
Chief, this is difficult. This is...
I
I know why Cousin Will was disturbed. This is difficult to sit with.
I'm nice. I put my mic off so I didn't keep interrupting laughing, but I am dying over here. Let me hit a few on here because we have to do a little commentary on these educational purpose videos. So now, I'm giving y'all a break. This is break time from him for a minute. Okay, number one, deer hunters. Let me come on here so y'all can see me because this man need to quit lying. Hold on. All right. PC been hunting since he was 6 years old with a gun. He can hunt with a bow too. Ask some people who come over here. We got bows too. It's not all that difficult because the deers will walk up to certain people and they'll eat out your hand. How I know they didn't eat out my hand many times. So will wild turkeys. But if an animal feels that you are a threat to them, then yes, that animal is going to run. And normally deers or any animal, once you start hunting season and they smell the gun smoke, that makes them very leery and jumpy. Are y'all with me? But he did state he once met a deer hunter. Y'all heard that? He did not say he hunt. So he don't know how difficult it is. Because first of all, you get your daggone deer stand. Second, you plant you a plot. You get your butt up in the deer stand so the deer cannot smell you because they can smell your body, or smoke yourself so that he cannot pick up your human scent. You get your butt up in the deer stand quietly, and the deer is going to come eat from the plot that he been eating from that you planted. Or if it's an area that is self-growing and the deers eat there, put some corn there. The deers are going to come. Some people call it baiting, whatever you want to call it. It ain't all that difficult to get a deer in the pot. Are y'all with me? So, he made that very confusing. Now, the next thing. I thought about something last night. I said, wait, they're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. Oops, they're eating the crows. So, ladies, they're eating the crows. Oh, these the foreigners eating the cats, eating the dogs, eating the crows. These people came from another culture that eats the cats, eat the dogs, eat the crows. Okay? Shoot. We keep bringing in immigrants. I told y'all the Immigration Act of 1924 brought in immigrants and made them naturalization, just like the Naturalization Act of 1800, and it made them citizens of America. He looked like he come from one of them waves. Okay, Phoenix, can we? It's a lot to go through with this, but let's bear a little more of it, y'all, because I'm gonna let Tom Akeland serve the receipts tonight. You know, because some people may be new, and they wasn't around when Tom Akeland served the whole stew to us. No, it wasn't a stew. I'm lying. It was a gumbo with sweet potato and eggplant. Now this nut got crumb. All right, let's go to a little more. Y'all, I'm gonna go back on mute so I don't disturb you all for right now.
If a man went out on a winter hunt with his family, because during the winter you're not farming, so you can kind of go out and trade or go out and hunt and just take your family along. And this is a Choctaw man with a bow, with a lean-to made out of bark. And on the bottom right, this is a really cool technique. I've seen a few Choctaw people do this, but if all the men in the village go out and they get in a big circle and they slowly move in throughout the morning, by midday, you see this huge circle. All the deer are going to be trapped in the center of that circle. And you can just kind of shoot them all down. So it's a hunting technique.
He is a sociopath. He is happy to kill, bludgeon. This is crazy.
Well, that's what
it works well.
Before. They came to kill, steal, and rob.
Of course, people have fences and feeders now, but this works really well. I know of a family that does this. It's pretty cool. They have a lot of fun with it, just as long as you don't shoot your family member. That's always bad. This is images of Choctaw men that played stickball in the 1830s. This is from George Catlin when he came up just north of Scullyville over by Fort Smith, by Poto, Oklahoma. These are images of Choctaw stickball players. So Tolok Chishko drinks the juice of stone. I mean, that's a cool name. I don't know how you get a name like that. I mean, you got to be a pretty cool guy to be able to drink the juice of stone. But in the past, you were named by your exploits, especially men. So men, Choctaw society was kind of a warrior society. So a man could not marry until he had killed someone in battle. So he wouldn't have status in society. He could not marry. And he couldn't get tattoos until he had killed someone. But anyway, these are just really neat images of Choctaw traditional dress back in the day. So like I talked about, in the past, you had, starting in the 17 and 1800s, you had the French, the Spanish, the English, and the Americans all kind of start playing a role in Choctaw society. From European contact in the 1500s all the way up, what you see is really disease really plays a role. 90% of native people in North America were killed by disease just within a few decades. So imagine Europeans coming over, immigrants coming over to this land going, there's no one here. That's because everyone's dead. I mean, the population in North America during the 1500s or late 1400s was higher than the population in Europe. We had huge cities. We had huge civilizations. But disease really played a role. I mean, there were tribes that were completely obliterated within a few-week period. I mean, imagine the whole city of Allen, 90% of the people dying off. What do you think happens to the infrastructure? It just goes into chaos. The people that are alive, their whole family around them has passed away. Their neighbors have passed away. How do you think that impacts a person? So this was a huge change for Choctaw people, having to adapt to all these diseases coming through. So then on top of that, it's just colonization. Colonization in general, it has been a negative effect and still is a negative effect today. Don't think that colonization still isn't happening. Western influence is still trying to assimilate native people, still today. And that's why we push back against that for our own identity. But I'll talk about that later. Ecosystem, destruction, like I was talking about River Cane, it was a huge ecosystem, part of the Southeast, and there's only 1.5% of it left. All the animals, a lot of the plants that have gone extinct used to live in that ecosystem. But destructive American agriculture have destroyed it. American agriculture is very different than native agriculture. It's not made for sustainability. It's made for yields and profit. It's not made to, last long into the future. Pesticides, stuff like that are just horrible on the environment and the animals. On and on, like there's, the Choctaw family system is being changed. The government structure is altered. I could spend another 3 hours talking about this slide, but I won't. I'm going to move on from here. And I'll pick some of these back up. So starting in the 1800s, we have this policy that starts to happen. Thomas Jefferson comes into office, I think 1801. And he has this idea of the general thought at this time was that when it came to culture, the American thought of cultures in the world was American culture was at the epitome. It was the best culture in the world. European culture was below that. Asian culture, Native American culture, African culture. That's how people thought back then. It was called cultural racism, cultural imperialism. It was this thought that your culture defined how advanced you were as a people. So during this time period, Thomas Jefferson came in and he really liked the Native people. He had worked with them before. And what he wanted to do was he didn't want to see the destruction of Native people. So in his thought, he said the best thing we can do is help to assimilate these people and make them American. That's how we save these people. So he started coming up with all these plans of how to assimilate them. At the same time, settlers are really pressing for land. More and more people are coming over from Europe. More and more tension. So the U.S. government decides, well, we got an idea. Let's go ahead and take their land through treaty. And they said, well, how are you going to do that? And they said, let's put them in debt. They have no system of money. They don't understand how a monetary system works. So what happened is they would bring these huge trading posts in, these huge factories. And to keep it simple, they'd open the doors and say, hey, look, free stuff. So, all the guys are like, free stuff? So they're going to walk in there, take all the stuff, bring it home, be like, look what I got. I'm awesome, aren't I? That's what I would do. If they said it was free, I'd bring it home, and then, she'd be really happy. She thought I bought her something. Got it for free. Put more money towards, restoring my car. No? Okay.
Listen, I'm keep talking to the audience, dead people. I don't know what.
Hey, leave
Do
him
you
on break
think
for
he's
a little
Steve
while.
Martin or
Let
something?
me,
Like Steve Martin in a jerk. This is crazy bad acting.
look, this guy is talking about welfare for them. That's what they got trapped with, thinking they would get some free stuff. No, we had trading posts. Yes, we played stickball.
And didn't y'all have the brick factories? So how the
We had
brick makers, how did
factories.
they bring in
We
the
had boats.
factories?
We had boats. We made lumber. We had log cabins as well as mud houses. This fool is crazy. Because
Lying like a rug. This is awful. This is one big bad story.
y'all, that's not children in the room. That's the tribe. They learning their history. This is ridiculous. And this is the kind of stuff we need to push till the government answer us on these things.
And he keeps saying they had, like he's not a part of those.
Not included. He talking third party.
Yeah.
Ninth
Yeah.
child. He don't have no receipt with the stuff he showed that come from Bonfaka and other pictures he done picked up from other places and mixed it all up and made
Mm,
slop and delivering that slop to his people.
mm, mm, mm.
Yeah, we got to break in every now and then, y'all, and talk in this education.
Be brave, y'all. We're gonna get through this together.
Eli never could watch the whole thing. I think he's hanging in there with us on part two. He on his television most probably laid back laughing. But we'll say we're gonna go find now why, and we're gonna go live from the hole. That's right, Cousin Will. Coming live from the hole. Um, as we go into this next part, because I'll be glad we get through with this junk, but y'all, we gotta do this. Because you gotta stop assuming what them people saying and doing and just hear it for yourself. Now I'm at the chat room. I ain't saying give him 100, but give us some hundreds on bringing stupidity and send us some fire. Because you know more than this fool know. Okay? And then you got people trying to, I tried to join the Choctaw tribe, they turned me down. You ought to be glad. You ought to be glad they turned you down out of stupidity. Now, they ain't eating no daggone roosters. They eating crows. Coop, you gotta go back, Garden Coop. They eating crows. Crows. Now,
They eat no scarecrows from the Wiz.
don't try to put that junk on us. No, we have food. When they went through the mighty depression, we ain't eat no crow. We had food. Now, before the European came, they had food everywhere. You had no reason to eat a crow, unless you're lazy. Then every now and then it's gonna pop up. Now they was cutting up by eating the dog, eating the cats. Choctaw did not eat no crow. Well, I'm gonna make this sucker eat crow. I wouldn't even pay to go see this.
I believe in
You can't even
part
give me a free.
one. In part one, didn't he say that they thanked the animal because everything was so sacred and they thanked the animal for their food? And in this segment here, he talking about bludgeoning everything. I love to kill stuff with these instruments. And
He said they was not. They was peaceful people.
yeah,
And
then said they was
get on like,
killers.
and that's a lie. You don't have to. There's no tradition in our people, and I ain't gonna tell him what we do. There's no tradition amongst the Choctaw to kill nobody to get a wife or a husband. That's a lie. He should have got a better story. Yeah, that's what they eat: crow, eggplant, and sweet potatoes. There you go, colored brown. Colored brown know what they eat, and that is their recipe. It's not ours. We don't eat that. You ain't us. Don't look like us. And that doggone shirt finding out feathers, you had me dying. That's why I had to stay on the mute. That shirt is eating him up. And Mr. Waldo was on here to tell you, some of them wigs be eating them up too. That shirt tan his behind up. But he said they made out of sheep wool. All right, y'all. Yeah, that collar is a mess. And that's their, wait, let me get it. That's their traditional ancient clothes. That ain't the way the Chinese people talk. That ain't the way Indians talk. And if you've been around here this long, you ought to be able to speak a little English, about as equal as chief. Me and my family, I'm the first generation of really trying to speak this daggone English junk and use it and master it. Okay, Phoenix, let's go for another round. No, I like crab cakes, not croquet.
So what happened is these factories opened up, and these Indian agents would come over and be like, well, you've taken all this stuff from the factory. You guys kind of owe us money. And the chiefs this time are like, well, what are you talking about? I thought this stuff was free. And they're like, no, of course it's not. But how about this? You give us this area of land, and we'll say that it's null and void. You guys don't have any more debt to us. So that kind of started this treaty process. There were other things too. The first treaty, come around back over here, Fort Adams, 1801. This area right here. The Natchez Trace was made as a trade route through the Choctaw Nation. 1803, Hobuck and Topa. 1805, Mount Dexter. During this time, all this land is being ceded. Now, these are hunting areas. These are areas that Choctaw men would go out and hunt in, because the majority of all the villages are in this area right here. All this other area is just hunting land. So Choctaws are going, well,
people are
you know, the Americans are here. You know, they're working with.
What'd you say, Chief?
Why he don't never use the terminology, you know, my people,
Right.
he just Choctaw, Choctaw. He trying to make them things blend. That's what they did in the past. They keep putting them together so till they convince people that they are the same. Now he trying to steal and plagiarize himself into these pictures and artifact pictures that's in Washington. He trying to figure a way to put himself into that. But I'm gonna tell y'all something I'm working on, cause I don't like this. But anyway, let's go.
This, and other tribes had different policy when it came to the United States. But the Choctaw chiefs decided, they said, if we want to stay here and strive as a nation, we must become allies with the United States. And that's what we worked to do. Throughout the early 1810s, we worked with the U.S., worked with them as scouts, helping their explorers. During the Creek War, during the War of 1812, our chief, one of our greatest chiefs, Pushmataha, was field commissioned as a brigadier general in Andrew Jackson's army. And he led a contingent of Choctaw warriors during the Creek Wars. And some of those warriors went down and helped Jackson win the Battle of New Orleans. So, you know, we had been helping Andrew Jackson. We had been helping the Choctaws, the United States.
Oh, right.
We said, we're great allies. And the U.S. said, you're awesome allies. You're good friends. They said, but we need a little bit more land. So in 1816, they said, we need this chunk of land up here. And Choctaw people said, but you told us in 1805 you wouldn't ask for any more land. And they said, well, if you want our continued friendship, if you want our continued alliance, we're going to need this land. So we ceded it. And then on from there, basically, 1820 rolls around. Andrew Jackson is told to come down by the president and said, you have to take more land from Choctaw people. And Andrew Jackson did not want to. He hated Native people. He hated Choctaw people. He put up with us because he needed us, but he didn't pay us when we told we were going to be paid. He didn't value us as allies. So he basically came down and threatened us with force from the U.S. Army. And we ceded this blue area here at the Treaty of Doak Stand. And in that 1820 treaty, we were gifted all this land in Oklahoma and Arkansas. 1825 rolls around, and the Arkansans aren't happy. They're like, you gave our land to the natives? And they said, well, yeah, Choctaws own it now. They said, well, we've been living here. We've always been living here for the last 5 years. And the government said, well, Choctaws are moving in. You're going to have to move out. And they said, but don't worry, Choctaw people are really great people. And they're like, well, if they're such great people, why are you moving them? So the Treaty of 1825 came around, and we ceded this amount of land. But by this time period, 1816, 1820, 1825, Choctaws were quoted as crude businessmen. We had learned through Indian negotiations, through all these policies and treaties, of how to get an edge with it. And what we started pushing for is our chiefs learned that the only way to survive is we have to adapt, not assimilate, but adapt our culture to American culture. Take the good parts of American culture and incorporate it into Choctaw culture and adapt and continue our society. And that's what they did. So Choctaws started opening schools and allowing missionaries to come in and teach Christianity. They allowed these missionaries to bring schools so that their kids could go to school. The same kids that went to school in 1818 and 1820, all the way through the 1820s, they were our later chiefs in the later 1800s. Once these kids grew up, they knew the Choctaw side and they knew the American side. And they were so influential in keeping the Choctaw Nation alive through the rest of the 1800s. But 1830 rolls around, Andrew Jackson comes back and said, all right, we're going to need the rest of your land and you guys got to go. And the chief said no. The chiefs got up and left. The people said no. They got up and left. So Andrew Jackson came back, cornered the chiefs and said, if you don't move, we're going to kill all of your men. We're going to enslave your women and your children and force them to become American people. So begrudgingly, the chiefs signed the treaty. And throughout 1831, 1832, 1833, were the official government removals from from Mississippi to Indian Territory. Out of the 20,000 Choctaws living here, 15,000 of them were removed in the 1831, 32, 33 removals. Out of those 15,000, only 12,000 made it. Some of the worst storms ever in recorded history in Arkansas happened. Blizzards. The Mississippi River froze over. But because the government wanted to save money, because the government wanted to, it all came down, they wanted to save money. So they didn't have the adequate supplies. They didn't have the adequate organization. They didn't really put everything into it. They just said, okay, move these people. But they didn't really plan it. And because of that, of the people that died, what happens if you take this whole room right here and you're forced to march in blizzards? Who are the first people that are going to pass away? There's two groups. It's going to be your elders and your children. They're going to be the ones that can't handle the hardship. Those are the ones that passed away on the 12 tiers. The children were our next generation. They're the ones that are going to continue Choctaw culture. Our elders are the ones that are teaching us all. They're the ones that are educating the youth, and they're passing on. So all these stories, all of these all this great information. I mean, imagine all these great Choctaw philosophers, these great Choctaw educators that are passing away. So the Trail of Tears is definitely a harsh point for Choctaw people. But we look at it in a positive light today. Yes, it happened. Yes, this was a bad point in our history, but we have to look beyond that. So after moving to Oklahoma, the tribe is just decimated. Out of the 3 chiefs and the 3 districts that the Choctaw Nation had, each chief had a rival, and we just went into political turmoil. We had 6 different factions leading people different areas to Oklahoma. Because of this and all of the issue with all of our elders passing away and our children, we lost our clan system. Some tribes still have their clan system today, but we've lost ours. Our government system completely collapsed. Our religious system collapsed.
Cause they not
So
our
when we got to Oklahoma,
that ain't work.
we still weren't given the supplies we needed. And later in the 1830s, more
What'd you say, Chief?
It's not working because they not our family.
That is facts. Man, I just want to know how much longer he gonna lie. This is crazy.
I'm not gonna be that boring when I get up there for y'all. I promise. Okay.
famines came through. More people
I was finna say go with him a little bit because I'm fixing to get these Mississippis up there for y'all.
died of cholera.
Thank you, Chief.
So,
For the 20.
but from 1830, after removal, before the Civil War, 1860, within those 30 years, the Choctaw Nation became the largest economic power in Indian Territory. We had huge cotton plantations, huge lumber, huge sawmills. We were the #1 exporter in the area for lumber and cotton. So Choctaw people were able to get back up on their feet. They're resilient people. And then, of course, the Civil War comes in. We get pulled in the Civil War. We ally with the South. That didn't turn out too well. And then after the Civil War, there was this huge reconstruction period. And during this low point for Choctaw people, missionaries started setting up boarding schools. This education system kept moving on. And boarding schools are created. And, at first they were really great. The kids would go, they would learn English. They would learn different things about American culture, and then they could come back. Now, later on, though, that all the schools, don't quote me on this, but the schools were kind of divided up into different, Oklahoma was kind of divided up into different denominations of Christianity. And those different denominations started running these boarding schools. And this, thought of manifest destiny, the Americas were going to connect.
Did he just say the tribes created these boarding schools? Did he just say that?
Yeah. He said that.
Oh, wow.
From the East Coast to the West Coast. Thought of manifest destiny. The Americas were going to connect from the East Coast. Completely collapsed. Our religious system collapsed. So when we got to Oklahoma, we still weren't given the supplies we needed. And later in the 1830s, more famines came through. More people died of cholera. So, but from 1830, after removal, before the Civil War, 1860, within those 30 years, the Choctaw Nation became the largest economic power in Indian Territory. We had huge cotton plantations, huge lumber, huge sawmills. We were the #1 exporter in the area, lumber and cotton. So Choctaw people were able to get back up on their feet. They're resilient people. And then, of course, the Civil War comes in. We get pulled into the Civil War. We ally with the South. That didn't turn out too well. And then after the Civil War, there was this huge reconstruction period. And during this low point for Choctaw people, missionaries started setting up boarding schools. This education system kept moving on. And boarding schools are created. And, at first they were really great. The kids would go, they would learn English. They would learn different things about American culture, and then they could come back. Now, later on, though, that all the schools, don't quote me on this, but the schools were kind of divided up into different, Oklahoma was kind of divided up into different denominations of Christianity. And those different denominations started running these boarding schools. And this, thought of manifest destiny, the Americas were going to connect from the East Coast to the West Coast, and we need to assimilate these Indians. What is it? Kill the Indian, save the man. It's a quote that I see a lot of other presenters use. But But basically, it was this thing where Choctaw youth were put in boarding schools,
Y'all killing
just as she talked about earlier.
well.
So a lot of the issues that we face today, from language degradation, our language, we're losing it. Different parts of our culture, we're losing it. Stories from our elders, we're losing it. And that's because our elders were put in boarding schools. They were taught that being Choctaw was inferior. They were taught that their language meant nothing, their culture meant nothing. And they were taught that you become American to survive. So a lot of our elders are ashamed today of their Choctaw, of their Choctaw side. They're ashamed to be Indian because that's what they were taught their whole life. So the issues we face today stem from that. All this historic trauma. If you look up historic trauma, you can see all the issues and why we have high suicide rates, why we have alcohol abuse, why we have diabetes. It stems from all this information that our elders were being told. So I know a lot of elders today. I mean, they're great to talk to, but you start talking about, well, why didn't you teach your kids Choctaw? And they won't. Oh, it's not important. Why didn't you pass down any stories? Oh, it's not important. Now, some Choctaws had a good time with boarding schools. Others didn't.
That cogro, that neck roll, that shirt. That shirt gonna eat him if he keep lying.
The more he lied, the more his lapel flipped right on up.
It's eating him. That's worse than Pinocchio. That shirt eating him. He's sweating too. He's sweating out these lies.
Things happen in boarding schools. Bad things to kids. We hear stories all the time, both boys and girls. Beatings, sexual assault, all sorts of stuff. So throughout this time period, Western colonialism is really eating away at our culture. It's eating away at who we are as people. But that doesn't have to define us. Today, Choctaw Nation is the third largest tribe in the United States. Out of 567 sovereign nations in the U.S., sovereign nations, we have our own government. We have our own constitution. That's why we have casinos, because we don't have to pay taxes. We are our own nations. But Choctaw Nation is the third largest with 200,000 people. 80,000 being in Oklahoma, 30,000 being in California. There's a huge population down here in the Dallas area, Houston, Austin. In the 1960s and 70s, government officials came in and said, okay, Indians are poor, so we need to help them. We need to assimilate them to be American. So let's take them out of their homes, away from their families, move them to big cities and get them jobs. It didn't really work, but my family comes from a lot of those that moved out during the Dust Bowl. I'm from California. My dad's from California. My dad didn't know he was Choctaw until he was 38. And my dad asked my grandpa, well, why not? And he goes, well, we don't talk about that. You can get away with it. Why tell someone you're native if you can get away with it? Get away with being white.
This one. I've been knowing I was Choctaw since I can say Choctaw. Okay? My children, when they were born, they knew they were Choctaw. Well, it's not Choctaw Shafunk the Nation on your daughter's birth certificate. Do she have a problem knowing who she is? So something was wrong with his daddy. Because they not us, y'all. They not us. They don't have jazz and they don't have soul. So they sure didn't bring the music about the Delta. Because they ain't got no soul to have jazz and blues. They don't have no rhythm. These people need to quit lying. So his daddy don't know nothing about their history. He don't know nothing about their history. But where they getting their history from? Steering it like the other people did. Are y'all getting it? That's why they eat crow.
I can't believe they let him be so long-winded like this. Like,
Look,
this is
this what
damage control.
wait. Look what Will say. And Brian pulled up, baby. Her and Gavin them, they not that old. Will, I'm trying to bring you to the screen. There we go. Now Brian, she a proud Choctaw baby. Eli, baby, 3. He know who he is. If I call him now, he gonna tell his daddy, let me speak to Chief. They say he was watching the show today and he wanted Chief to talk to him. And I said I was gonna give him a little hit out tonight, cause when I was small, his viewer is 3 years old. Hey, little Eli, Chief can't talk to you, can't answer me back, but I promise I will give you a little shout out. My babies is watching this. That's why I told y'all keep it clean, cause my babies be gonna be able to watch. Every baby in the tribe is my baby. I only have 2 grandbabies, but all of them is my baby. Now, how this man, daddy's mama, or daddy's sister, or grandma, or somebody, or grandpa, or grandpa's brothers, didn't tell them they was Indian. And this is who I heard people finish prior to 2019, me coming on your show. Was talking about this the real people? And I need to be like these people? No. Chief know how to hunt too. I know how to trap and fish, all that. I don't have to eat crow. I don't have to eat cats, and I don't have to eat dogs. This man have not made not 1 inch of sense. That's why me and Will and them going on a field trip to 9 Wire. Find that hole so no more come out. We need all cement finishers. It's called to duty. Bring any kind of pot, pan, wire, car rim, some cement. We gonna close that daggone hole up. It let nuts out into this world. A crazy mound or a crazy cave or a crazy hole, whatever. I hope they all go back in their hole. These people crazy. I'm getting off and we go back and listen to the crazy people.
When I went to high school in Arkansas, I was white. I knew I was Choctaw, but I made sure that everyone knew I was white because the KKK was so active in the area that I
Lord,
grew up
stop, Phoenix. Stop.
So we still have a lot of race.
Yeah. The Choctaw white boy. Went to school.
Oh, gosh. Oh, Lord.
Y'all in the chat room. Choctaw white boy. That sucker transforming like Camilla. Because he was running from the Ku Klux Klan. Can't he the same color of him? Why was he running from?
Chief, you say he transforming?
I'm going to transform him right before our eyes. Y'all see how they steal identity. So when he went to Arkansas, he went there as a white boy. Come on, y'all, put it in there. Transformer. Choctaw white boy. Don't know what he is. If they say they're going to kill Choctaws, he going to be a white boy. He ain't going to be fighting with the Indians. He going to fight with the white folks. He just said it. He went down to Arkansas. I went to Arkansas and I went in there as an Indian. And they had Ku Klux Klans in there. I went all in up in them areas where the Klans be. And they said, hey, Chief Warhorse, how you doing? You want to come live up in Ozark? Ain't no Klan chased me in Arkansas. Come on now. That's a low blow on Arkansas. Arkansas, if you in the house, y'all know Chief was everywhere. But for him to go to Arkansas, he had to be a white boy. All right, y'all, let's go a little further. It gets a little better.
Racism. We still have a lot of issues today. The issues with the Redskins, people, portraying Indians and saying they're protecting our identity, but they're destroying it. Things like that. But we have things today that are recovering our language, recovering our culture, revitalization. So, sovereignty and self-determination Our legal department does a great job. But think about this, out of all 567 tribes, every time a tribe goes to court and they lose a case in court, the sovereignty for all 567 tribes is negatively impacted. Every time we win a case, sovereignty is added for 567 tribes. But we're all separate nations, we're all separate people, and we have our own ways of thinking and doing things. But in today's age, we have to band together. That doesn't always work, but when it does, it's glorious. My office, part of what my office does is we're in charge of working with federal agencies. Through the National Historic Preservation Act of 1966, anytime a federal agency wants to do a ground disturbing activity that involves federal funding or a federal agency, they're required by law to contact the state and any tribe that has an interest. So my office does over 2,500 projects a year with over 150 different federal agencies, state agencies, and cities to protect Choctaw sites. Anytime a road is built, they have to consult with my department, with my staff, to make sure that they're not going to destroy a mound, that they're not going to destroy a cemetery.
Okay, guys, I get notifications before they dig a bill, and I think I'm going to try to find one for y'all tonight. I do that also. I have to be notified when they're digging in the grounds within any area where we have claims. So I don't know what he got so spectacular that he feel that gave him a privilege. So do I get contacted. I'm not a fake tribe either. So I think I just had got a notification not too long ago, a while back, for something he was doing in Slidell. I get these letters through the state, through DOTD, let's put it that way, and sometimes through the city, and those are some things you may never know what they look like, but they do go out. That's one thing he's telling the truth about, and that is how he's finding artifacts to steal too, because when they notify him, they say, we stake claim, and they stake and claim using that law to some stuff that they just found out because his daddy didn't know he was an Indian. He must have went home and told his daddy that they was Indians. That's the way the story's starting to sound to me. So we need to inquire on some of those things. And I told Phoenix something earlier, and when we get through this disgusting educational video for educational purpose only, not to repeat nothing that he say, because then you'll be dumber than him. So we are just watching for educational purpose only. But I will show you what one of those things look like. Okay, back to the video.
The biggest loss of our culture is when someone will go out and dig up a mound. Developing tribal social programs. So with our tribe, we don't give per diem checks. We don't give per capita. So some tribes, they have casinos, they get money, and they just give the money out to all the tribal members. That's why out of all the ethnicities, or I don't know which word's right, out of all the people, out of all the minorities in the U.S., Native Americans are the richest, even though they're the poorest. It's kind of weird. But the point being is that some tribes just give money to that, those individuals. Some tribes, some people make $30,000 a month. Their casinos make that money. Casino writes a check to that family or to that individual. But we don't do that. The Choctaw Nation feels that if you give free money, people become lazy. We believe that you need to work. You need to work hard and earn. So what we do is we have programs. My program is completely supported by, not completely, we have a federal grant, but over, I'd say 85% of our program is supported by tribal funds. And I have a staff of about 20 people. So we have over 100 programs on the government side. We have over 100 programs on our healthcare side. And speaking of healthcare, we have our own hospital. We have our own clinics. It's all free for any tribal person to go to. Doesn't matter what nation you're from. It's free to go to that clinic. It's free to get that healthcare. And that's just because healthcare is so expensive today. Southeastern Oklahoma is one of the poorest areas in the United States. President Obama declared it a promise zone. He declared 3 promise zones of the poorest areas, and our area was one of them. So really enabling our tribal members to take back, having programs for youth, having programs for adults, having programs for the elderly, having different programs just to help people with different things. If you're a veteran and you can't afford to be buried, we have a veteran cemetery. We'll bury you in it for free. If you need a hearing aid, it's free. If you need dentures, it's free. If you need glasses, it's free. We help with all of that because we want our people to excel. Culture camps. So the biggest thing is that you have to think towards the future. American society likes to think of what's right in front of them. We have a 100-year vision as a tribe. We're looking 100 years in the future. We want to know exactly, not exactly, we want to create the road for the next several generations to work towards. Where's the tribe going to be at in 100 years? We want all of our people to not have the social issues that we have today. So that's where all these programs are created to try to uplift ourselves. The federal government still has that mentality of we need to help tribes. No, you need to work with us because we are our own sovereign nations. I mean, the Choctaw Nation is $1 billion. I mean, our industry, our businesses is $1 billion business. I mean, our gaming, we make a lot of money through gaming. That's what supports a lot of our tribal programs, supports education efforts. So yeah, like I said, you go about an hour north, there's a big casino, just go up there. But no, so culture camps, the kids, for everyone, I don't care what culture you're from, the kids are the next generation. They're the ones that you need to always focus on. And that's what we believe too. So doing culture camps, having free camps, to teach kids about Choctaw culture, because most families don't know much. I mean, how much do you guys know about your family and your culture? You're unique. I mean, a lot of us are just, normal Americans. We have TV, we have the internet, we got phones. But trying to connect with our kids, trying to teach them, that's what we really focus on. Having big tribal fairs, having big festivals, big family reunions so everyone could come to one area and see each other every year after year. Bringing back stomp dance. So a large majority of the tribe is Christian. We are officially a Christian nation. But there are still a few people in our society that participate in the traditional religion called stomp dance. So these people have come together to try to revitalize stomp dance within our nation. Pottery, like I said, trying to bring back pottery. Stickball. Stickball wasn't really played 5 or 6 years ago. There was a big initiative in the 70s, the 60s and 70s. We just had Martin Luther King Day. Martin Luther King did a lot of great things for all minorities, especially Choctaw people. So, having that freedom to, Native people, we still fell under Jim Crow laws. I have an elder that I work with a lot. He's our preacher. We go to his church. When he was a kid growing up in the 60s, if he wanted to go into town, he could only go on Friday, and he had to always use the back door. He was never allowed to use the front door. And he didn't understand why. He knew his skin color was a little bit different, but he didn't understand why he was treated any less. And that put a really big sore spot for him. Ever since then, he was always really, he was racist. I mean, he didn't like white people because, he watched all the evil acts that were done to him just because of the color of his skin. So when he went to school and started getting his education, he learned that his way of thinking was wrong. And he was able to uplift himself and bring himself out of that. But as a kid, I mean, it's hard to understand as a kid, based on skin color. I'm a mixed blood. I have white privilege. If I cut my hair, you won't know I'm Choctaw. I can get away with it. I can get away with being pulled over. I was driving a van one time, and we had a van full of stickball players. And a lot of these guys were from different walks
Whoa
of life.
now. Whoa
So,
now.
you know, I have my bachelor's.
This is
There's
crazy.
one other person that had their
Right,
master's.
pauses.
But a lot of guys, you know, don't even have their high school diploma. And they're all
All right. This the part I said y'all have to bear with me. Okay? Did y'all hear that? He got white privilege. And he uses it to his advantage. They people wasn't mistreated. Platter. They have used privileges and they have played the lines. Phoenix, come on and talk to me. Did you hear him say how they play the lines?
Yes.
They white when they need stuff white. They Choctaw when they don't want to be bothered with the Choctaw. And then they Choctaw when they need to steal our stuff. And then they white when they need to get something and the police don't do them nothing. What y'all say about this? Don't y'all need to get people who say they American Indians to come hear how it works? Because he's rich. He can play the border. You can't even play the border. Okay? What y'all say about it in the chat room? He ain't mentioned the treaty because he ain't lived under that treaty. He's not mentioning treaties. He's mentioning privileges that they have been getting since Nixon gave them that. Yeah, they chicken stealing. That's why they don't eat crow no more. You heard him say they rich. This is the stuff we are talking about with that petition. We got 159 people in the room. If you have not signed the petition, please do so. I'm going to tell you what we're going to be doing with that petition after we get through with this. Got some good stuff coming up, huh, Phoenix? So, if you have not signed the petition, please do so. Now, Phoenix, I had some people tell me today they went to the link and it would not let them sign the petition. That doggone Noreen is on time, Phoenix. She coming walking in the door, so y'all know what I'm talking about. DOTD stuff. Like he doing something we not doing. Gotta give him a receipt. Yeah, let me put this receipt in there. Yeah, there we go. That's good, Noreen. I just need to put one. Let me see. I'm gonna pass two up there, huh? Hold that. Okay, hold on, y'all. Noreen brought some receipts out my file. She knew I was out here looking for them. Thank you, Noreen. You can bring this back. Well, I'll set it here and show them how the books look. Okay, set that there. That'll work. All right. Now, what we're gonna do, we need to sit down and see how much is the government allowing these people to laugh, how they are capitalizing off the government. See, this is what I was fighting for. These black people start creating tribes, making names up, and confuse the situation. But I understand that now too, because it was these people started a whole thing on the internet. Organize your tribe, get you a chief. You ain't get nothing. Some of them got jail. This stuff is set for him. Did y'all not hear him? Do y'all understand? But this is what the blacks thought. We're gonna get us a chief. We're gonna get us a tribe. We're gonna name it Ukapuka. And then we sovereign. Hey, that's not the way it works. It's not the way it works. You need to know what treaty. You need to know what you're talking about. You need to not go telling lies. And the United States need to answer us with these lies that they're allowing these people to do. It's a disgrace to the country. And he laughs at it because they're paying a white man to be an Indian. Talk to me, Phoenix. Boy, this chat room is rolling. I can't keep up with it.
Data,
Phoenix, come
I'm
on.
just flabbergasted. I am flabbergasted.
I told you it was more to come. We had to make it through it. Go to school as a white boy. Most probably have white on his birth certificate. Yeah. Are y'all really understanding this? Are we gonna fight each other? Did you hear what Obama did for them? What did Obama do for us as a nation around the United States, no matter what tribe you was descended from? Let's go through this last little bite. Boy, this chat room is rolling, huh, Phoenix?
Yes, indeed. I guess we got this little bit left. We can stomach it. We done made it this far.
All right, here we go.
All riding with us, and we're driving down to do a demo. And these two cops drive up on us. One's in the back, one's on the side, and they're really looking at us. I guess they got something about a white van or something. But they both, take off down the road. And I hear this guy in the back. He's like, "Man, I'm glad we got a white guy driving." Cracked me up. We had to pull over. I was laughing so hard. But I mean, that's the reality of things. I mean, these things are real. It's sad, but I'm hoping these generations coming up, they're going to be the ones that work us out of these things. Anyway, I didn't really talk about stickball, but stickball is it's an old sport that we're bringing back. People don't die anymore. We have rules. We have referees. It's if you go to YouTube, type in Choctaw stickball. It's a really cool game. In November every year, we play a game up in Durant. But if you get on YouTube, you can see how it's played. It's like organized chaos. It's kind of like lacrosse, but rugby tackles. It's awesome. Anyway, Seed Bank trying to bring back our traditional foods. Corn these days, when you guys go to the supermarket and you get corn or potatoes, these are varieties that are made for yield. They're not made for nutrition. They're made for size. So what happens is you're eating calories, but you're not really getting nutrition out of it. The varieties of Choctaw foods that we have are nutritious. So we're trying to bring those back and try to reintroduce our people to those foods. Because Choctaw people for a long time now have been put on something we call commodities. So people that can't afford food, the government by treaty is required to give us commodities, which is basically food. So every month, certain families will go over to a huge food bank and they'll get food for their family for that month. But all this food is really low quality. I mean, it's all flour, it's all carbs and fats and sugar. It's the reason that we have such a huge diabetes epidemic. It's the reason that we have weight issues. It's the reason that a lot of people have issues with mental disorders. It all comes down to historic trauma and bad eating. But anyway, there's a lot of great things that are happening. There's a lot of negative things, but we're trying to bring ourselves out of that. We're trying to become this great people. So I kind of bounced around a bit, but I really appreciate you guys.
I'll start at the front and work backwards, and we'll try to answer all the questions. Up at the front, any questions, comments, protests? Right here.
Protests.
Hi there. No protests, but I'd like to know about the seed bank a little bit more.
Okay. So part of the thing I was talking about, these native varieties. So do any of you guys like squash? Okay. So we have a squash. It's a Choctaw squash. We recently got it within the last few years. There was a Choctaw person that's been holding on to the seeds for the last 30 years. It's what their grandpa used to plant. This squash looks exactly like a pumpkin. It's a squash, but it turns orange, and it's as sweet as a sweet potato. It is awesome. You eat it raw. Like I ate it raw when it wasn't even ripe, and it was good. You fry it up, it's delicious. But trying to bring back our native varieties, trying to bring back this nutritional information. Most of the loss that we have today, even in American culture, I mean, A lot of you individuals that have been here a long time, it was like he was telling me earlier, this used to be a huge farming community. Think about the generations of your grandchildren that don't have that environmental knowledge. A lot of Choctaw people today, I mean, more than 40% of the language revolves, 50% of the language revolves around words for different things in the environment. And with our environmental loss, with us trying to separate ourselves from the natural environment, we're losing a lot of knowledge. So bringing back seeds, bringing back seed bank is real important.
I was going to point out that in my research for Collin County history, a number of the people from Collin County immigrated from Kentucky. Of course, they came through Arkansas. And a number of them would get lost, and they'd go through Choctaw territory, and the Choctaw would feed them and send them on this way. We're talking 1840s, 50s. So there was that sharing that you were talking about.
And I want to interrupt real quick too. I was asked earlier to talk real quick about the in the 1840s, after Choctaws were removed, there was this time with the Irish potato famine. And a lot of people in Ireland, there was a blight going on with the potatoes, and a lot of people were starving. And there were several huge prominent Choctaw families that got together, and they donated $710, which back then was a lot of money, to I believe it was a Quaker. So a lot of times what would happen is this money would go out to help the Irish, but it was all kind of done through certain Christian denominations. So yeah, you could get this money, you could get this food, but first you got to come to church. The Quakers actually just straight up just gave used the money to buy food and just gave it out. And I don't know how the Choctaws did it, but they got in touch with these Quakers. The money was donated. And, the Choctaws, a lot of Choctaws were married in with the Irish. I think that's how that connection came to be. But we had suffered so much that we didn't want to see another people suffer. So these large families got together and donated this money. And I mean, this is just a few years after Trail of Tears. So.
Okay. You were talking about the stickball way to settle a dispute. Were the Choctaw involved with any other tribe? How did they defend themselves from another tribe of Indians? Or did they make peace with everyone? I saw you were showing the war clubs that they had. Did they actually go to war to defend their tribe?
Yeah. So in the past, when we think of wars, we think of these huge nations, nation upon nation. You think of the Napoleonic Wars. You think of World War I, World War II. Back in the past, it wasn't like that for Native people. Really, the Choctaw Nation originally was basically a cluster of villages that all were like-minded. They had a similar culture, a similar language, and they worked together and they had treaties with each other. But it's like a confederation. Later on, we moved and had districts and got a government like that. So what usually happened is it's a warrior society. So, for a man to become a warrior so he could marry, he'd have to kill someone in battle. So basically each village had several different types of chiefs. It was a servant leadership and it was rotational leadership. So depending on what the need was, there were different leaders for different things. And just because you were a leader in one event doesn't mean that you're always that leader. So the war chief or the Tushkaminko would stand up and say, something has happened. This Choctaw man was killed. Who in the community would like to raise arms and go do a raid on this Muskokie village or this Chickasha village? So those warriors would get together, and you could never tell anyone what to do in Choctaw society. Everything was voted on. Everything was up to the individual. So that chief would take whatever warriors that agreed, and they'd go out and they'd do a raid, and they would pay back that blood for blood. So it's really small scale. The mentality is if you went and wiped out a village, you didn't have anyone to fight anymore. So it's a lot different mentality than the way that Westerners were waging war. So if we did have a dispute, it was usually pretty small scale. Really, the first time the whole tribe mobilized to fight was with the War of 1812. That's the first time all the chiefs got together, mobilized the warriors, and went out and fought.
Questions, comments?
Did that answer your question? Oh, okay.
I have a question on the Dancing Rabbit Creek.
Mhm.
Okay. We used to own some property up in southeast Oklahoma. It's just an acre. But on the the title that goes all the way back, it
Mhm.
went all the way back to the Dancing Rabbit Treaty.
Mhm.
So what was that? Was that the last of the Choctaw land that they took? Was that when they were forced out
Mhm.
and moved to Oklahoma?
Yeah. So basically what had happened is in 1830, that was that last treaty that was done that removed the Choctaw from Mississippi to Oklahoma. So a lot of times when you're looking at the history of the land, really it starts in 1830, there was a treaty, the Choctaws were gifted this land here. And then you don't really see much until the early 1900s with the Dawes and the Curtis Act allotting the land out.
Okay, I think that was right. I think it was the 1800s.
Mhm.
Okay.
And to talk a little bit more what he was saying with the lumber industry has always been huge. Like I said, Choctaw people had a huge lumber industry. But when these huge corporations came in, they would just clear cut mountains. And it's still done today, and it's bittersweet because a lot of Choctaws in McCurtain County don't have work, and a lot of them work for these lumber companies. They hate what they do, but they have to provide for their family. There was an incident recently where we have Choctaw ponies. So these are horses that were brought on the Trail of Tears from Mississippi that originally came from DeSoto. These are full-blood Spanish Mustangs. They're more pure than what they have in Spain today. It's a really neat breed of horse. They're really tiny, and they don't ever need to be shoed. They're so adapted to the rocky terrain that they don't need shoes. They're pretty awesome. They're beautiful, beautiful animals. But all the ranchers in that area, they didn't really own these animals. They just kind of lived on Blackjack Mountain. Well, a lumber company had a lease, and they were ready to clear it out. And basically, they said, well, who owns these horses? And no one said anything. They said, okay, well, we're going to have to kill them because we need the lumber. So some of the horses were killed, but a lot of the landowners there took in as many as they could. And there's a nonprofit called the Spirit of Blackjack Mountain that tries to adopt out these Choctaw ponies. There's a man named, what's his name? I think Bryant. And he works with them a lot. I mean, that's his life now. He's in his 60s, but all he does is work towards these horses. So, the lumber industry has done a lot of damage to our sites. It's done a lot of damage. But like I said, at the same time, I mean, the way the world works is we need lumber. So like I said, it's bittersweet.
Does the Choctaw Nation own oil and gas royalties? And if so, how is that managed?
That's a good question. If we do, I don't think we own many. It's a really good question. I think we have a few oil and gas wells on some of our land, but they're all inactive. So we really don't do anything with them. Now so the tribe does own land, but there's also individual Choctaw people that were allotted land in the early 1900s. Those allotments are still there today with the descendants of those families. They own land that's in trust. So it belongs to them and only them, but it belongs to them because they're natives. So they don't pay taxes or anything on it. It's federal land that belongs to them. And some of them do have oil and gas wells. But it all comes down to, I don't think we own the mineral rights. That's the issue that we fight, especially with the water rights issue we've been having with Oklahoma City. We've basically been, thank y'all, we've been trying to, basically Oklahoma City wanted to take some of the water from our area and resell it. And one of our major lakes, they wanted to drain by 90%. They wanted to drain it down to the 10% level. And in that area, the only thing we have is tourism, water tourism. And so the tribe, Choctaw and Chickasaw Nation, have been fighting very hard. And we kept our water rights because those are rights given us to us by treaty. But it's, I I wish I had some more information for you. I can find that information later if you're interested, though.
My question is about the legal status of the Chickasaw people.
Mhm.
Are they considered to be citizens of the United States? Do they vote? Do they join the military? Do they get passports?
So as far as I know, with Chickasaws and Choctaws, we have dual citizenship. So I am an American citizen, and I am also a tribal member of my tribe. So that means I'm protected by the U.S. Constitution when I'm not on tribal land. And when I am on tribal land, I'm protected by my tribe's constitution. So let's say that I get into a fight with someone in the parking lot at the casino. What happens is if we're both tribal, we go to tribal court and it's resolved in our own tribe's court. The way it used to work, there's been new laws that have been passed, but the way that the tribe still deals with it, if I get into a fight with someone that's not Native, then we will go to federal court because they are protected by the U.S. Constitution, and I am also under the U.S. Constitution. Now, the laws have been changed where I think we can actually take them to tribal court because it happened on our land, but I don't know if we exercise that right or not. That's a question for our legal.
Oh, thank you, Lord. This tape has been used for educational purpose only to tell people do not follow none of that, believe none of that. That junk is a bunch of bull. All right, Phoenix. It was so much said on some of the
Sally Hemings, a slave woman whose name will be forever linked to one of America's founding fathers. When three-year-old Sally Hemings arrived at Monticello as part of an inheritance for Thomas Jefferson.
All right, y'all. You know, I'm gonna move over. Phoenix, I'm gonna come on stage now, and bring something on stage for those who are newcomers and don't remember shows from last year. Let's move on to another white boy. But what we gotta realize is all this lying, it's time for it to come to a stop. Let me see if I want to go here. I think I'm gonna go here first. I'm getting ready to come on stage. And we bring another guest to the stage. Now, being that we brought this other guest to the stage, y'all remember this show? Y'all remember this show? Do you remember the show? Now, before we go into this, let me do a little bit of touch back up on the other part. I might go to part one first, though, Phoenix. Yeah, let me not confuse the issue here. Let me go to, I guess, part one first. Yeah, let me do part one first. Okay. What we have to realize, y'all, these people are good at what they do. They lie. And I can't be letting them lie like that. Okay? When we let them lie like that, that make them think they're more powerful than what they are. Let me go over here and get this right video for you. Phoenix, you want to come on? You have a chance while I'm bringing this on to elaborate on the issues at hand.
I I think I might have to wait till part three because I'm still trying to absorb this. The lying, the amount of lions, and the use of discrimination and racism. They got the nerve to steal our information as they stealing our information.
And laugh about it.
And thought it was funny until his white worked for him.
See, we can't change the color of our skin. They wasn't the colored people who couldn't go to school because he could change to be white.
Yeah.
To school in Arkansas. We couldn't pull our skin color off, or transform, go through transformation to fit in with either side. All right, here we go. Last year, before I go there, we got 152 people in the room. I hope we have 152 likes. If you're on your television at home, you can still hit the like button. What I'm trying to do is bring to us, Phoenix, to keep the black community, and I'm gonna use the word black. That's why I keep telling y'all, say black. Because they wrote laws against black and colored people, not against those people who have taken your identity. They doing like Camilla, use it when it's convenient. Are you with me, Phoenix? We can't do that. He even laughed at her when the police stopped him. He's no longer an Indian, now he's a white man. Something's wrong there. Something seriously wrong there. I don't find it funny at all. It's not funny to me for a simple reason. Tom Aiken came and bragged about those things, Phoenix. He said he did those things. I'm fixing to come back on with part 1, not part 2. I went to the wrong part first. I want to go into part 1 first. Any of y'all remember Tom Aiken? Here we come, Phoenix. I'm going to come back on stage. This man told us last year he created these people. Did not he say that, Phoenix? They didn't know nothing about us down here.
Sure did.
Told them about us. And then here we sit here with black folks going around trying to imitate fakeness. Actually distract my fight for quite a minute trying to calm their crazy butts down. But let's get over here and let's see what Tom said about these issues. Make sure I'm there. Tom said he the one brought these people to the forefront.
But heritage is about us, and we need to make sure that other people know about it. And one of the things that we're doing is to bring the heritage out to the public in outdoor display technology. We have developed a system of using displays along our trails. I got a grant back in 2006 from the Federal Highway Administration to develop a series of heritage corridors and themed trails all across the Florida parishes and the river parishes. 14 parishes from the Pearl River to the Mississippi River. And I traveled all over talking to people like you, you know, who know their heritage. They're the ones who are the experts. What gripes me is that sometimes politicians and the bureaucrats spend taxpayer money hiring people from outside.
I agree.
You know, and to come down here and tell us who we are. We don't need that. You know who you are.
You know, I'm glad you touched on it before you go any further. I want to come back on that part with you. That has been the problem.
Oh, yeah.
All along.
Yeah.
Someone else telling our story. We have not been allowed through Jim Crow law, and you know, we got to be honest. That's that bad in the gumbo. There were laws passed that forbidden us from speaking for ourselves. And I tell a lot of my friends that's white mainly, I'm like, a white person can come here, they can get grants, they can get on agendas, they can speak with the government. We still have to battle. And when we look at St. Tammany Parish as a whole, where's the people of color? We live here, but we don't get to talk for ourselves. My history go back, and I've saw everyone that's been writing these histories, none of them history intertwines with our history. And I see people intertwine the Creole and the Indian and lap this stuff like it was all hunky-dory. But we don't talk about who enslaved or tried to enslave the first Indians that was enslaved in this area and sold in slave trade. Those things are important with the history, not just see the Indians, they were here, they are gone. What happened to them? Because a lot of historians, when they talk, it's as if the Indians was here, then they were gone, then they came back again, but it was in another spot. And you know, it's confusing. That's what's confusing the younger generation. If we can disagree without being disagreeable as people in history, we can bring forth. I'm sitting on this stage with my grandparents, my aunts, my uncles, and my cousins, and I'm proud to be here with them. I feel more safer with them that's dead than those that's living. Why? Those that's living is doing the damage. Those that's dead is being used as a part of changing things. My grandfather, for instance, Pierre José.
How long have you been doing research on your?
Well, it ain't about research. I was born and raised with my
Well,
grandfather.
but yeah, I mean, the Indians were verbal. You know, they
Yeah,
they
that's what I'm
didn't
saying.
write. It was
That's why I got my,
seven generations.
this lady
in the
right here, I
future.
grew up with her. Right
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, I can tell. I can
Okay.
see the
I
result.
grew up with her. This is my great
That's your
aunt.
grandma.
No, this is my auntie. You know, everybody up here play a role in my life, and I can point to them.
Uh-huh.
And I see a lot of pictures that white people took back in the days, and then they would send them a picture back. Y'all with where I'm at? Now I'm starting to see these pictures pop up on the internet from universities or whatever. Some of these pictures have never been out there that we have, and some have. This is Tanima. I even saw in the museum in Lacombe, people have Tanima. They don't know who she is.
Well, I have it in my book.
Okay,
That's,
so
you know.
everybody writes about it. That's my auntie. So not only is she my auntie, she's a well-known dead Indian around America. So I'm not the first Indian from here to be
Yeah.
well known.
Yeah.
She's pretty famous around the world this day and time. But if I ask people what her name is, I get kicks laughing at when people write her down as P.S. Tanima. That's not her name. That's in the Muskogee C. Tanima. C ain't Emma. And around the world known as P.S. Tanima. That is not her name. Someone had to have been asking a question to get the answer. Who is that? C. Tanima. And it became her name.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying? But my grandfather knew this was his auntie. So I know her real name.
Do you know Matilda?
Well, Matilda was out of the Lacombe area, and that was her cousin in that area, yes. Helen, Helena,
Yeah.
which most
yeah.
people said Helena, like Saint Helena. It wouldn't have been Helen, it'd have been Helena. And that's Helena over here. So Helena lived with Tanima.
Mhm.
See, those two come together. Actually, that's Tanima's slash and beads on Helena. How that happened? When these historians come around documenting, I had it happen to me. I took a picture with one of my cousins, Kenny, at my house, and he says, "Can I take a picture with your slash?" I normally don't do that because that's a no-no. And I let him put my slash on. He wanted to see it. And the next thing I saw that picture all around the country on the internet. That's not his slash. He just asked to stand there, and I had my different slashes telling him the story of what the slashes meant, and he put it around his neck. We took a picture, and now the world have the wrong image of that slash. So history, sometime, Mr. Akeland, can be deceiving, okay, audience? Now, this is my grandfather, got my grandma right here behind me. My grandmother that raised me was raised in a palmetto house. This is they people right here. These are my family. I saw the picture over there with the painting that was done prior to the Bushnell. I saw it on the Oklahoma little page. Some of my members had called me when they said, "Do you know the picture of the village in Bonfaka is in Oklahoma?" Oklahoma don't even know who we are or where we at. And don't care nothing about if we survive or not. So it was so funny when he made the recording. He said, "Oh, this come from somewhere in Louisiana, and this must be our ancestors." Who he was talking about? Tanima and over there. So if Tanima is your ancestor, then that means I must be kin to you.
Well, you know, we wouldn't even have those pictures if the U.S. government had not sent this guy down
Come on now.
in 1909 or 1910, something like that, to take that picture, to record the last of the Choctaws. Because, you know, they not only removed the Choctaws in the 1830s from the
They
map,
came back for us
but
again.
they came back. Yeah,
Yeah,
they
that's
came
right.
back because why? To get the timber.
All right. So
They
you see-
needed to bring that railroad through.
Now we're on the timber.
1908.
Now we back to Porterville. I want to pause for 1 minute. Did y'all hear who the last was? And who they could document from, who knew the history, knew the words, knew the lifestyle? Phoenix, what you got to say about that? They had to come here. Not Oklahoma. Not in Houma. Not Tajina. Those pictures come from Bonfaka. Because we were still here because of Article 14 of the Dancing Rabbit Treaty with dual citizenship. Oh, y'all sleep on me out there. Y'all ain't saying nothing. Do y'all hear me? Phoenix, come to the stage, please. You there, Phoenix? Do y'all understand? So y'all can put in the chat room. Even Tom Maitland know the last of the Choctaw was in Bonfaka in 1909. For them to have the documentation and the only documentation that's floating. Can y'all put that on there? Bonfaka, the last we knew our culture, we knew our history. Are y'all with me? I'm gonna ask somebody to come to the stage. I want to hear what you got to say. I'm going to ask, I'm gonna drop in the chat room the link. There was somebody up there, somebody named Ninth, and I want to hear from let me see. I'm looking through the thing. I had the other name. 1 minute. I want Evans. Letitia Evans. I'm gonna drop the link. Those are two I want to come on. Tell me what y'all feel about what y'all are hearing right now. Because there's a lot been said. Might have to do a part 3. Because we ain't gotta hear that man no more. So we might end up going to a part 3. But before we end up not hearing from the audience, is how is the meal? Want to hear your voice. I dropped it in the chat room. I want Nightchild and Evans come join Chief on stage. Waiting on y'all to come on stage. While I'm waiting on y'all to come on stage, I'm gonna hit a few things that he touched up on, like he the only one get something from the government. I don't want to hear the whole Tom thing tonight, but if you notice, we're gonna touch back on this. I might come back later this week on some of this Tom stuff. So, cause he gonna himself let you know a lot of stuff. Let me take this down for a minute. I might come back to it according what it looked like on our timing, but I want to come over to something else with you all. Let me see. Brought that off the stage. I want to bring something else on. Okay, he was talking about something that I think I want to show you all. When I tell you about it, I'm real, but I fight for my representation. So I'll bring this to the stage for a minute while I'm waiting y'all to come to the room. Okay, he was talking about documents that you get from the government to let you know about your artifact. Can y'all see that? If you can see it, say I see it, Chief. Y'all see it? I have a lot of those. I'll turn the camera on. Let me turn my camera on. Okay, camera's on. I'm in a little pocket over there. See these books? See how thick they are? They come to you from the Department of DOTD or the city government or county government. And whenever they're digging with artifacts, they contact the tribes to let us know where they have dug stuff, where it's located, and if you can read the letter that I put on stage, it goes along with that book. And I have a lot of those. But can y'all see that? And it specifically says, so y'all can see, I didn't make this up. This is one from March 7th, 2012. It says, the Honorable Chief Warhorse Gillum, Choctaw Tribe. It tells where it's coming from. And if you notice, it comes from the Louisiana and from the Department, the Secretary of DOTD. See right there? Yeah. I can't make this up. So he's not the only one getting one. And it says, on your behalf of the Federal Highway Administration, the Louisiana Department of Transportation and Development would like to invite you to participate in a consultation to address cultural, historic resources issued related to Chef Mature Bridge and Approach project in New Orleans Parish. I'm just going with that one right there. I get those letters. I go to those hearings. Okay? Now, I don't know what y'all gonna say on that one, but what he explained didn't mean nothing more than what I also get. Let me stop that presentation. And then get to Tom Ackland one more time. I think I'm gonna go to part 2 a little bit. Y'all having Jeremy on this? Okay, I got Evans on stage. Okay, Jeremy on stage, got Evans. How you doing?
Why, hello, Chief. It is such a pleasure to be here with you tonight.
It's a pleasure to be with you too. Tell me about the show. Let's hear from the audience. Tell me something.
To be lost for words is not something that I am often, but to hear what I just heard is some of the worst. You have to laugh to keep from crying.
That's true.
The information, the way that they play with people's actual history, not even giving any credence to the fact that these are humans that struggled, that were pulled out of their homes,
They had families that loved them.
and had families and children. And this even happened to children for generations. And to be okay with just playing with the history. It's absolutely insane. And the gentleman mentioned on night 1 that he was 26 years old.
That's correct.
And then night 2, he was playing white to run from the KKK.
Yes.
In 2009, when we're like,
Now, not only did he play white to go to school, also was playing white beaten by the police.
yes, ma'am.
So he can transform from Indian to white. But the
Yes,
average
ma'am.
person cannot transform, cannot be beaten to death
Exactly.
and
Still
killed
today.
and killed. These are things that serving up history, I hope to keep so that our people don't people kept asking Phoenix. They thought these people were real Indians and they were better than them and they wanted to mimic them. And I watched this on the internet for many years. And I told Phoenix that's not the way the real Indian world is. And I'm trying to share some of my ups and downs and battles with you all so y'all know it's realistic. And it's painful. And for black people to come and try to steal your identity like the white folks, don't make them no better. Infiltrate and perpetrate is what's been going on for a long time. I asked you on the stage because I know you've been with us when we did the shows last year, and we talked about the Summer of Love and the entertainers and the politicians. You heard Tom Akeland describe it's all about money. This guy's saying the same thing.
This is exactly what they're saying. And he had a few Freudian slips. He talked about helping the Choctaw people. Then he turned around, oh, yeah. Yeah, because you're not those people.
So what did they feed the Irish people? Crow?
Yeah, I would. That's all they had. They
Crow?
didn't own these things. They didn't
Crow and
own these cotton fields. They didn't own the.
corn. Crow
Yes,
and corn. And who have the land is Mr. Waldo. I wanted y'all to. The people with colored skin owns the land that was divided in 2009 from the tribe to the original people. So these people don't have the original patents. They're the people who came in and used political power, Jim Crow, and dominated to take a spot. And it was the
yes,
immigrants
ma'am.
of color who had no representation. Okay? Now, while I have you on here, I want to tell y'all something. And the reason I have you, Evans, because you've been around since last year. And
Yes,
the
ma'am.
a group of y'all gonna greet me here. And we have did a lot of cleaning up the internet with lies. And I like to thank y'all personally from trusting me to show y'all the truth. But I bring receipts. He have not brought a receipt yet. Only receipt he brought was receipt that Bofaka is being, how can I say, plagiarized.
Yes, ma'am.
And you heard Tony just say the only crime documented in 1909 to the in-depth was here in my area in St. Tammany. You just heard this man say his daddy didn't know he was an Indian. They didn't know nothing about Indian culture. But these are the people who the government is helping to preserve the culture. No, these are the people that is removing artifacts from Southeast United States, trying to relocate it to a museum that they built in Oklahoma to plagiarize the history, to draw people there to come to their casino because nobody don't want to go that far. So the money they get from the government is not enough. Now they want to plagiarize the artifacts and the remains of our people. And
Yes, ma'am.
you can laugh at it. And the
Yes,
government
ma'am.
is given power to be able to do that by using a so-called not real sovereign nation. They gave them a tribe to keep us blocked. And it's so backfiring on the United States because they howling now for sovereignty and they want more and more and more what they were trying to block us from doing. But I want to tell you this while you're on air. Y'all worked hard on the petition, right?
Yes, ma'am.
What if I tell you at 11? I will be going to a meeting with Senator Scalise's office. I personally told him I did not have to talk to him personally because he's working his election. Give me a representative of one of his top people, and he did. And the meeting is actually about preservation. And I figured because he is the top person from Louisiana and my congressman, and he's a very powerful man in Washington too. I've asked them to meet with me. I wasn't expecting them calling me today and tomorrow we're gonna be in meeting. Okay, this is how serious this is getting. I like that look you have on your face. See, because we're doing it together.
This is amazing news.
So I told you I'll work hard on the petition because also I'm asking, and I don't know if Ishmael is here, but I've asked the congressman to look into how they are removing the artifacts from Moundville and to see what he can do to start an investigation. And I told them they wanted to know what university we were dealing with. And I told them the University of Alabama. We want to know why the artifacts is being moved to Oklahoma because that's another trail of tears. That's the way Chief Warhorse worked, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
time to play games. Okay? So I'll be in meeting tomorrow, and I might have a meeting and do another part 3 so y'all know what come out the meeting. When y'all
Oh, we would be honored to be there
but what
with
I'm
bells
gonna
on.
do tomorrow is use the petition for the meeting because I want to talk about the petition when I get there. So tomorrow I will be letting them know there's a petition with over 10,000 signatures questioning reclassification and what could we be doing or what could be done or what could start to be doing to correct some of the history. And these shows that I ask y'all to keep clean, and y'all have done a terrific job. I want to let y'all know my legislators in Louisiana that represent this area, along with our authors and the Kevins and the mayor, have access to these videos. And I want y'all to know a lot of people didn't know what went on. I mean, people that was white, Republican or Democrat or independent, they needed something to show them what was going on. So I want to thank you all. We are a year and just about 2 years into this show, serving up history, the real true history with receipts. Y'all have been a great audience. I don't know what the he didn't get the link. Okay, just 1 minute. I want y'all to share, like I told you. I'm gonna share the changes so you know there's real fights that take place in Indian country with Chief Warhorse. I don't play this game going around, just going in a park, jumping around in a circle. I don't go around putting on that stupid shirt. I like what Finding Our Feathers say. I do not wear Tom Ackland's fall collection. Okay. Tom Ackland said he created these tribes, correct? That's what he told us.
That's what he said.
And he named Homer and Oklahoma, and he said, Oklahoma wouldn't have known nothing about my people if it wasn't for him. He brought all these people together. And I said in the 80s, and he said no, more like the 70s. Well, these tribes got recognized in the 70s. So Tom been having illegitimate children all across the country. And it's going to be our job to question those things and bring it to the government's attention. Be it that I'm going to be telling Scalise about the 10,000 plus signatures with a possibility of add-ons. I would like for him, I will let his office know tomorrow, we would like for him to head up a hearing for us. We don't know what he can't do or whatever, but whatever he do, will be more than what we ever had. This is an issue that have not been brought to the table. We will ask him to give us people to work with us so we can show justification for the government to check into the tribes that's laughing at how they milking the system. And they are not the original people. So I want y'all to know that Scalise's office take heed. Matter of fact, they tell me, look, we have your name on the desk. We was just waiting for the right time. And I think getting that call today, I was on my way to the council office in Mandeville to deliver the packet that I told you all I've been working on. And that packet, I don't have one in here with me tonight, but that packet covers the history and how it been stolen. And the reason I'm the one that have to fight it is because what you heard Tom Ackland say. We the last documented people. Still in our spot. My daughter went to Spain. Y'all saw the receipt. Bonfica. On the 7th, we'll be in council meeting where they will legalize the protection of the name and the people. And I appreciate Arthur. Y'all saw Arthur when he came on the show, and he told y'all he was going to stick with the fight, and he have. Lately, I've seen 2 of our signs then disappear off the road. Um, I guess they're trying to make us invisible by removing the signs. So I just called the government, told them we need them to print some more signs, put them back where someone took them. So if y'all see some Choctaw signs floating like they still out the graves, let me know. They green and white and it says Shafunk the Nation, Choctaw Tribe. But the signs just disappeared in about the last 2 weeks. So it's not over with the fighting. It's not over with explaining. And we got to stop assuming white folks know the history because we got people who are Indians who send me messages, Evan, saying, how can I find my history? How can I relate to what you are doing versus what happened to my people? So we got to stop assuming elected officials know our plight. And what we have to do is dig deep into archives and records, find where you fit, and begin to look at the elected officials in those areas and getting them to stand with you. The presidential election, I told y'all, don't really matter to me. My local election and who I send to Congress, who I send to the House of Reps and Senate is important, because you want to be able to pick up the phone and say, I need to talk to you about something. And I don't have any problem with that. But we have had black people elected and we had high hopes in them and we got nothing. And I don't like that right now. I feel that we censored. I don't like the idea that I feel that we underneath a Jim Crow law type system, we got to do what the chosen leaders say we supposed to do. And I'm a very rebellious person. And I know people of color, you don't better make us do nothing because we better not do it. So the Democrat Party and the Republican Party, and I said this last year before election, have taken advantage of us. And I see what's happening in this election as a boycott of people who feel that they have not been put on the agenda. And they're not boycotting the locals. They boycotting the presidential election. That could be doing things by executive order, playing us down as if they have no power when it comes to helping us. But they find power somewhere in the pencil bucket or something to sign something to give to others. I will let y'all know what Congressman Scalise's office says. I want y'all to understand I am an independent. As I said, I once was a Democrat till Obama lit up the White House. If he could light up the White House for a controversial issue, why he cannot sign the voting right bill? And he didn't. Okay? Why Biden, who we gave another chance, didn't sign the voting right bill on the first day, executive order? Why the woman who's black, Indian, Asian, whatever, Jamaican, why is she that close to the president and couldn't go buy him a ballpoint pen and say, here, sign this? I'm here to represent people of color. We've been taken for granted too long. We've been like the battered woman, okay? Getting out behind whip and telling me, I can't leave because I don't have nowhere to go. I don't have no money. Where am I live? How am I feed the children? What we gonna do for medical care? That's what a battered woman say. And she stay there and get beaten until she's killed, or she end up with cancer, breast being amputated off her body, and she can't use the insurance that a white man can now use to get breast implant, and a woman can't get it. Okay? And then they want us to speak against ourselves and vote against ourselves. All the stuff we've been doing for this year and something have been all linking up to how politics have played a role. But like I told y'all, when I see a politician doing what's right, I'm going to let y'all know. Let me bring the next person to the stage. Who I got? Lola? All right, Lola. Let me hear from you, Lola. What you think about cooking with cheese, serving up?
Love
Turn
and
your mic
light to
on.
everybody. Love and light. See, turn the mic on. Is it on now? Could you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Peace and love to everyone. Thank you, Chief, for pulling me up. Appreciate it. And I love you and I love your work. I really do. But first, the lies, the lies that's being brought to our people like that, I just don't understand why and how could it continue to be, broadcast like that without even no one saying anything about it but you, it seems like, you know what I'm saying?
Well, They tried to
So
shut.
that's
I'm gonna be honest. They shut me down, and I thank Phoenix and Evans, all of them, because and my daughter who insists I go to internet and take the story to the public. But I want you all to see there
right,
is a Indian country. I wanted y'all to know I'm a civil rights leader and I haven't taken from nobody. I'm not rich. I don't have 4 mansions.
right.
I heard somebody say the other night, Obama, I heard a man saying this on his show. He said, Obama was an activist. He went from an activist to a senator, okay? From a senator to a
Right.
president. He's a very wealthy man. I'm a
Hmm.
very poor activist. I have no shame in telling y'all I'm poor. Now,
Right.
why am I poor? Because the people like I just put on that thing have taken what is rightfully ours.
Right. Right.
And when I saw
And
all these color organizing a tribe and getting these other names, I'm like, Phoenix, it don't work like that. Your name
it
is
does.
all have to tie you to your land. So my thing was, I'm not trying to pick with anyone. I'm trying to be truthful. And we shouldn't vote for anyone if they're not willing to sit down with us and listen at our issues.
Exactly.
Citizens on fixed income, they got to pick what they're going to do with that fixed income money. They get less money than we giving immigrants per month. We have veterans who have fought for wars get
My
less.
granddaddy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
People that fought for war cannot afford to go to the doctor. And they lying when they say insulin is $35. I don't know what state, but it's not in Louisiana.
No,
And the
it's not.
test strips and everything that goes with it are sky high. So even if you're getting low insulin, you're paying all the stuff you got to reuse is hundreds of dollars.
Hundreds.
Tomorrow, I'm gonna ask my husband permission. I'm gonna bring his insulin payment sheet. Is that to you? And I want you to find $4 or $35 on that page. You know, I said we're gonna bring receipts. Phoenix say, well, I'm gonna bring some receipts. That tomorrow will be the 16th, and insulin for this month is $1,000 and some dollars
Wow.
for the month.
Wow.
I'll bring that receipt tomorrow. I don't have it out here with me right now.
I
So
guess that.
I want us to make this a real place. You ever know, my mama was a chef, a cook. Everybody loved her food in town. Everybody still know her. The most best place for women to get together is in the kitchen.
Right.
That's where we cook and learn. I'm so proud
Right.
of women not being stupid as they thought we were. Gonna tell us who to vote for. And then, like I told y'all the other night, because you're in a sorority or fraternity, it doesn't make you over me. It does not
Right.
make you better than me.
Right.
I had a white man in the Democrat Party told 2 of the members of the chair, well, the board, that he's above them. You know, he's above them for one reason. He finally, as a white man, they was allowed to take President Obama because a white man couldn't make himself a minority. He needed a person of color to push that. And
Mm.
President Obama may not know it, and if you hear my voice, he need to think about this. And I heard him say, I hope Michelle wasn't here. Send Michelle the chief warhorse because they got rich. We're still at the bottom. We're tired of seeing pictures on with them on beaches with their 4 mansions. Okay?
Right.
And then you disappeared and you reappeared to tell us to vote for people that's not going to do anything for us.
It's not gonna work. Not this time.
Then they're going to try to tell us, I guess we ain't black enough.
It's not gonna work this time.
It's time we come together and do what we're doing. Okay? I'm telling
Yes.
you, it worked locally here. I live in a parish where there's 14 people on the council, which would be in your county, is my parish. 13 of them are white, male or female Republicans. There's only one Democrat on the board of color, and that's the same person. Okay? He just got elected. He cannot do anything for his community without having support from the other 13.
Right.
The parish president, he's a Republican. What I'm trying to tell y'all is not the party, it's the people. I can't hear you, Evans. Come on in.
So yes, that's exactly what it is. And if you're not voting locally, and this goes for your senators, your congressmen, your judges, your
City,
police chiefs, you
city
can't
council.
complain about how many years that these young brothers is getting and these young sisters is getting in jail if you're not holding your judges accountable.
You know, I
Your
said,
local congressmen.
remember I
Yes,
said,
ma'am.
we're not going to go political, but y'all, I couldn't keep my silence. You know, I'm chief on one side, but I'm a civil rights leader on the other side. I
You're
couldn't
right.
hold my audience. I'm talking to my audience. We cannot
Yes,
keep
ma'am.
being used.
And as dual citizens, we have not only do we have to take care of our families, which are our tribes, and make sure that our traditions are passed on, but we also have to take care of our communities
That's correct.
because we have to live here. We don't have anywhere else to go. When this country goes afoot and everybody goes home, we're still here.
Right.
And like grandma said, somebody gonna have to clean this stuff up.
You remember
Right.
my daughter? She told me, Mom, I travel all over the world. I wish I could take everybody to see America is the best place to live. And I also say people are dying to get in here.
Mm-hmm.
We got people lying to get out of here.
Wow.
America is ours. Don't be ashamed of America. This is ours. I don't care what name they call it, because before I was in America, I was in France, Spain, Britain. Down here in West Florida, we was our own country.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Right.
land is still the same, no matter what name they put on it. It's the land that we're connected to. It's the soil. We do not have to vote for people that do not have our best interests. And we do not have to vote for people of color, Democrat, Republican, or Independent, if they
Right.
can't hear our plight.
That's right.
I hope we take this channel and make it grow even more so that we can reach people.
Right.
Nobody can take away our first, second amendments. The Constitution is for us. It may not start it out that way, but we have included not by willingly, but by force in fighting for our rights. And yes, there's a lot of civil rights leaders that ain't worth our time. But there are some of us, y'all have tried to be good. I've given up my life working with no pay. When I started this studio, I built everything out of my pocket. Now we got mobile studio, we got the studio I'm in now, we have the other studio. Nobody's giving me that. That means I gotta do without get information to you. We got preachers raising money, has network, and not opening it up to be available to hear the plight of the people. What you see I'm doing now is what I do in my community. Because if we don't pull together, we don't try to understand each other. But they're making people, the men's against the women against the man, the black against the white, the Asians, and everybody. We all gonna be separated. The Democrat and the Republican and the Independent. There were no primary for election. This is what we're giving you, and this is what you got. That's not democracy. We have caused wars in other countries for what we are doing right now.
Amen.
Right. That's right.
You know, God,
You're right, Chief.
I'm not gonna hold y'all all night, and I didn't go off down here political field, but listening at this crazy man for 2 days, listening at other youth X on
Lola,
what's
I
going
think you
on,
have to mute it, Lola.
listening to
Muted.
X and other
Yes,
stuff,
ma'am.
and it start bubbling up in you. We cannot stay silent. We have to stand up. Who's gonna stand for the next generation? You just heard this lying man say he creating a good enough lie to take to his next generation. But we have the truth. And somebody want to censor the truth. Guys, look. I take what I do serious. I put my life on the line for what I've always done. I fought Ku Klux Klans. Not like this man was just lying about. I fought real Klans. How did I prove that to you? I brought Winston Cavendish to the stage to tell you the dangers that we went through in my younger days. That wasn't for pay, no show. It wasn't for me to run for office. It was to encourage women that we can make a change. Now, one thing the man said out of all of what he said, we are the birth givers. We are the one can change this country. Problem is, who gonna lead us? And we need women that respect men because men is our strength. But behind a man stands a mighty woman is what we gotta start doing. We gotta show people. They made us the media the man to get welfare. Throw him out the house so you couldn't help your house or your children. We played a part. We got to bring the man back in the house, starting with our young sons and grandkids. If they're a boy, let them know you're a man. And I'm proud of you as a man. If it's your son, never let your son hear you talking about his father and demeaning his father. Never tell your child, boy or girl, they're never going to grow up to amount to nothing. Always see them bigger and better than you. We got to change the way we talk. We're going to do some cooking this year.
And can I add, Chief, we have to stop kicking these kids out at 18.
Yes, Lord.
This is generational curse to make your family start over
But if you don't
every 18
prepare
years.
them, how could you kick them out and you know you didn't raise them prepared to go out there? But we talking about the white man.
That's right.
Yeah, we are the matriarch. And we allow Europeans to come to this country and take the matriarch and use her against the men. Let's come back together. There was a 1,000,000 man march. You mean to tell me out of 1,000,000 men they couldn't buy a gas station, a hotel, or a bank? Huh? Obama, if he was an activist, don't have no money. How you go from an activist to a multi-millionaire? How? How did you get adopted in a tribe and gave them billions of dollars? Because you know that adoption, because that tribe was federally recognized, he legally now is a member of that tribe. Y'all know that, right? But we still being discriminated because of the color of our skin. And it hurts you in your stomach to hear this white boy brag on he can be an Indian and benefit and also benefit as a white man. Well, that is what's happening when Obama gave power to the white man. Now they don't have to be just an Indian. They can be a woman. Take your job. And say it's being discriminated against because the woman got the job, not them. So the white man laughing again. And you just saw that one laughing. I had this white man tell these people, hey, I'm above you. He told this to a woman of color and a man of color. I'm above y'all. So he decided, and I'm going to go ahead and tell you, he decided he was going to run against Scalise. He can't catch Scalise on a jet. Okay? You're not building your agenda here, baby. All he did was made an endorsement for Scalise. Y'all hear me? And that's what you got to do in your town. That's what you got to do in your state. When they try to make us do it, do the opposite. Do the opposite. Give us some respect. Come coat us like you coating everybody else. You're coating the immigrants. You're coating the LBGQ or whatever in the heck it is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2. Come coat us. Come see what our community needs. When they start doing that, we can stop people from lying like we've been watching for 2 nights. That's a shame that this man can laugh at how they done benefited from this country. And then he got over on the Irish. They did. Because the Irish going to give them money to say thank you, and they didn't have nothing but crow. So no, it was our people who fed the Irish, which they patterned Red Cross after. Okay? Y'all, I'm gonna let you go. I'm not gonna keep y'all here for no 3 hours, because we can go on and on. And I promise y'all this though. Tonight I will read everything in the chat room as usual. My reading of your stuff in the chat room and reading your messages make me feel like when I was in the community working with the people face to face. I get a chance to hear what you say and what you want to hear, or what you want to learn, or what you want me to find out about to bring it back to you. My chief can lay receipts when she tell you what she doing.
Yeah,
So
you can.
if y'all want to do a part 3, this is what we'll do. Put it in the chat room if you want me to come back and we go back and finish Tom Ackland and roll into what Scalise's office said. And then I'll also let Scalise's office know of the petition tomorrow, and I'll let you know what his office is saying about that. Sounds fine. That's what's called teamwork. And y'all my social team. We're making things happen. We would not have done that petition. And y'all know what? If we can do a petition for one thing, you know what? We can do it for others. And you know what?
Right.
We don't have to go beg who we bringing a petition to. Because Chief just picked up the phone and made a phone call.
Okay.
Now, let's see where we're going with this, because we need some questions. And I don't care who do it, but right now, a Republican congressman is willing to meet with no begging, no threatening. Remember, I didn't tell him nothing about the petition. I told him I needed to meet on what's happening down in Moundville and across this country, because it's a violation of preservation.
Yes, it is.
The Indians' artifacts and remains to Oklahoma. I said, and I have other things to cover with you when I get there tomorrow. And one of them will be the petition. And you know what's funny? Scalise is the whip. So look where that petition went that y'all worked on. We're going to be able to have the whip look at it. And you know, y'all pray and ask God, though, to protect all the people that's on the team. Black,
That's
white,
right.
Republican, independent,
That's right.
male. God made 2 things, male and female. So I'm asking God to protect all that he created
Yes,
with,
God.
with a purpose to deliver us to the day that we all have lived, worked hard for. Our ancestors have suffered. I'm proud of all of y'all on Cooking with Chief. All of y'all. So until we meet again, love, peace, and prosperity.
Peace. Peace. Thank you.
Chief, it's been such an honor. Cannot wait to meet with you
It
again
has.
tomorrow.
Well, you know, one day we're going to do something where we can, I don't know how we're going to do it, because y'all all around the country.
I
That's
know.
okay. If you call, we're coming. You hear
Right.
me?
One
All
day,
you got to do is say you want me in bumper car and I'll be there.
one day
I'm in Michigan, Chief.
you're in Michigan. Well,
Yes.
one day y'all will make it to Bonfacon. We'll set something up.
Well,
You know, just so you know, my daughter just married a Chittimancha boy,
Okay.
and I'm going to be out there around New Year's
So
in
you're going up
Kahuma area.
to the mountain.
Yes. So I will be in your
Congratulations.
area.
Well, okay.
Congratulations, Mama.
Something.
Thank you, love.
We're gonna be working on the name changing the first week. Pierre Jose is now a parish, or y'all say county holiday. We are working to make it a state, and I don't ever want it to be federal, because when it go federal, it is not what it's for. But I do want it to be an educational point for West Florida and for the tribe. And right now, my representatives in Baton Rouge, they got to take me a picture and send it to me so we can put it on our page. But they all flying the 1 star on their desk, thanks to our Senator Bob Owens. So now all the reps of West Florida has a flag.
That's so awesome.
So
Awesome.
we're gonna create a tourist around the history of the people look like us. And you know, they got white people want to know the real history about us.
More
Because,
and more.
you know, the foundation of Black and American Indian do have a lot in common. The
Oh, yeah.
suffering of building this country and still being left out. Okay? And I told Mr. Waldo, I don't think there's a better name than foundational Black and the Aboriginal original people of this country. I have a treat for y'all, but I'm going to close out. Like I said, this time I'm for real going to close. Video that me and Mr. Waldo did yesterday. I'm going to upload because I have not uploaded a video and I don't know when, because I love being with y'all live. But I do have a video. We did talk a little bit about politics and a little bit about being a Black Indian in America left out. But we did it from the park on the bayou. Let me know tomorrow night. Do y'all like that video? I'm going to upload it tonight. Peace, love, and prosperity. Be blessed.
Thank you. Peace.
Love you.
All right.
Love
Be
you
safe.
all. Be
Right.
safe. Bye.
And thank you for the Columbus Day celebration. I love that Columbus. I will never have another Columbus Day other than what you done represented for us, okay?
I like to take lemon and make lemonade, and we can put sugar or honey that we want to put in it. So we
Right.
don't that up, okay?
Right.
So
Yes.
next time we might add ice to it, okay?
Appreciate it.
All right, good night.
Good
All right.
night.
Peace.
Bye-bye,
Peace.
everyone.
Peace.
Peace.